Duncan, you are on deck. And Duncan, you're one of my favorite, just simple to understand companies. And I say that I've got your device, the VeggiDome, right on my kitchen counter. And here's what I'll say this with investors listening and will be listening to the recording. So Duncan, as you know, I've got 4 kids. And when we had the VeggiDome in our household, I was chopping up some vegetables and I had stuck them into the VeggiDome, and then we were going to be doing our ice cream night there as well. So I started taking out all the candies, the M&Ms and everything else, and all the toppings for ice cream. And typically, my little guy, he's a sneak. He'll run over and grab a handful of M&Ms or whatever. And not this time. Not this time. What he did was he reached into the VeggiDome and he grabbed some fresh vegetables. It blew my mind because what you said from the beginning when we first met is you said, Izzy, the reason why people aren't eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, it's because it's away in the refrigerator. You don't see it. And where's a cookie jar? On the kitchen counter, right? Or in the pantry. So this is like the healthy cookie jar, if you will. And without further ado, help me welcome Duncan Burns. I'm so excited for you to present. Duncan, you're on.
Great introduction, Izzy. And the reason why it is a great introduction is that we are part of the household. And we become part of the household because what? We're sitting up on the counter. So this is something that is new for the kitchen. And I actually Googled this yesterday. What's the newest thing in the kitchen? And it's presented, okay, for, the next year. So all these different spoons and cheese graters. And I'm looking at it going, guys, this is not new. We've had cheese graters for years. And it was literally the top list of new things. Well, guess what? The VeggiDome is going to be the next new thing next year in the kitchen. And that's how we're getting ready to produce our next run of them, and we're expanding or scaling productions. This is the thing about the VeggiDome. I started it 15, 16 years ago. I was the dad who worked hard as a film editor and came home and wanted my kids to be able to, when they came home from school, reach in and grab vegetables off the counter. And how can you do that? Well, they've got to be able to be in some sort of container. And my background was that when I was 9 or 10 years old, built a greenhouse with my brother who was older. And he liked having orchids that grew on trees, okay? And that was cool. He made it so the roots would be clinging on the bark. And I said, well, how does the plant stay alive if the roots are not even drinking up water from the ground? He said, they drink water from the air to stay alive through their leaves. So flash forward when I'm trying to figure out how to make it so my vegetables would stay fresh for the kids, I figured out a way in which the VeggiDome is like a greenhouse, but I made a lid on it, which the kids could reach in and grab the vegetables. That all helped. The lid leaked ethylene gas, which I didn't know about. So this is not necessarily as much an invention as a discovery. I literally didn't know about some of these elements because I was messing around in the kitchen and I kept on trying. And I also have an affinity to growing plants and being able to have them really luscious. That's how I kept the VeggiDome on the table. They keep the vegetables fresh throughout the entire week out on the table. Like the one you see in front of you there, a lot of those vegetables were in there for well over 6 or 7 days. So the problem is we are throwing out $100 a month per household of fresh vegetables that we're buying in the store, and they're great. We bring them home and we forget about them. We put them in the fridge, and we put them in the fridge, which is a thing that's not designed to keep vegetables fresh. It's designed to keep meat and cheese fresh and unspoiled, milk unspoiled, but vegetables actually prefer to be more in a kind of humid space where the refrigerator is sucking out the moisture. So we're not competing with the refrigerator. What we're doing is we're saying this is going to be a change of mind. And that's one thing that I want to ask all of you today is to kind of get out of the box as to what you do with your food. Because right now, throwing away $100 a month per household is not really an acceptable thing, even though it's kind of like, that's what we do. 90% of the Americans don't even eat the vegetables that they should be eating. So they're buying them in the store. They're throwing a lot of them away. And therefore, they're not even necessarily buying the things that they really should be eating. Vegetables and plant-based food is a huge growing industry. We're not just completely focused on, the vegan set or the plant-based set, but let me tell you, there are vegans that will love this and they'll catch on and it'll be part of their household, just like Izzy's. How does it work? And this is the thing. It works with the fact that the ethylene gas escapes out through that lid, like I was describing. It's like a cookie jar lid. And the water that the plants are creating. And that's the thing. Again, this is Duncan discovering that, you know what? You don't add any water. You just allow the vegetables to just emit what they're going to be emitting anyway. And they achieve this excellent balance of this life-affirming atmosphere by themselves in 5 minutes. So you wash them, you trim them, you put them in there, and then you can eat them 3 or 4 days later. Now, the fact that it's utility patent makes it so that this simple device that I have kind of stumbled across in the kitchen by messing around and trying to solve this one problem, I've actually been able to solve more problems than that. Because what happens is, if you want to be able to make a salad in a minute, and there's a video up online of me doing that, you've got the ingredients in there for the next 3 or 4 days. Anytime you want to make a salad, you chop it up, you're done. It's like you've already cleaned it and it's inside this dish. So the VeggiDome being utility patented means, and people say to me, and I want to make sure that I understand, I've been doing this for 4 years as a company, and I've been using the VeggiDome for now 15 years, okay? That certain aspects of it that people might come up with, well, I don't know, what if it rots or what if it does this? You know what? I have learned through 4 years of test marketing that we will be able to address many of the situations that allow it to fit into Izzy's household and to many households. Of course, the ones that are active, healthy households that are into sports and into eating fresh vegetables, they're our easier focus. Now, we started with a successful Indiegogo. The campaign sold to a broad range of customers in 47 states. I personally had been using it for a long time, thinking, we're going to sell it to people in Oregon and California and New York. No, every single state was represented, and we couldn't ship it off to Alaska and Hawaii. That's why 47 is pretty much a complete number. Sold 8,000 units online and expos over these last couple of years in several test markets. I've been learning what people react to. I've been selling literally one at a time to certain individuals. Looks like my screen is falling over. That's funny. I just built this yesterday and I didn't do it right. There we go.
Man behind the green curtain.
The man behind the green curtain. I'm in the house. That's the thing. I want to make sure that the dog can walk out if it wants to. And now we're preparing, after all of those several test markets, we're going to be doing a focus towards expanding our markets in USA and also internationally. Haven't been able to send it off internationally, even though our design patents are international design patents also. That this is for a huge industry, the housewares industry, which is expanding 5% every year. By 2024, 2025, it's going to be $77 billion industry. But just think about this. We're not just focusing as a housewares industry. I mean, yes, we're going to be the new thing in the kitchen, right? But we're also going to be able to focus to nutritionists who say, you know what, I need to have my clients change their lifestyle habits. How do you do that? You walk into the kitchen, it's the same kitchen for the last 20 years. You're not going to be able to easily change your eating habits. You go right for the cracker box again. What happens is the VeggiDome sits on the table. And that's one reason why it really worked in my household, is when kids come into the house or anybody, you scan the countertops. Whatever's on there is fair game. Well, for a nutritionist to sell to his client, okay, you're going to be eating more vegetables. Boom, that's what you see sitting on that table. Athletic trainers also. We've got athletes who are really interested in helping to market with us and sell with us through their venues. But also athletic trainers will be able to say to their clients, you know, we're going to change your regimen. You're going to be eating fresh vegetables more. Also weight loss, which is $1 trillion industry. We will be selling to them as this is a new tool that they can use in their regimen. So this is not just a household. Don't just compact. I told you guys to step out of the box when you see this. This is not just a funny looking salad bowl. It actually can change each of those industries and be sold as something that is a next step. It's actually going to help the clients, and it's going to help the trainer themselves too.
Absolutely. And what I could see as well, Duncan, by the way, we have roughly 10 minutes left. What I'd love to see as well is when this gets funded and begins to scale. I think about staying in a beautiful hotel, like when I was out in Santa Monica and you and I were able to grab a cup of coffee, just, open air from the ocean. And now I've got a VeggiDome that the staff brings in full of fresh fruits and vegetables. And it could be right there on the counter in my hotel room. I could see, luxury hotels buying this and putting it all into their rooms and the kitchen staff. That. But it's amazing what you're doing, and it's a simple.
That's a great comment, Izzy, and I can't believe it. You were prescient of the next slide, which is the go-to-market strategies. B2B, retail, box stores, yes, we've been talking to them, national retailers already, okay? We just have to have enough product to be able to put it onto their shelves, and that's where we're going right now with this next phase. But also partnerships with hotels, spas, cruise ships. Think about that. And I actually have even done a little bit of exploration in working with hotels. Look at the Hilton in London has a whole vegan suite, by the way. Can you imagine they don't have VeggiDomes? Huh. What type of vegan suite is that? Anyway, the idea is there's also with our utility patent, a whole bunch of licensing agreements is now opened up to us.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And what I think is important to make note of as well as investors are plugging in and watching this recording is that while you went out and did this, Indiegogo campaign and you were, selling these in farmers markets and stuff like that, that wasn't the thrust of sales. It was just for proof of concept. Like, hey, do people see what I see? Is this an overwhelming success? And can you imagine? I think about the George Foreman grill, right?
Right.
A simple little cheap thing, but it's got George Foreman's face on there. I think about kitchens, how they really need something like this with the need for eating more fruit and vegetables. So great points with hitting all these verticals.
Great. So let me just hit these second pieces, which are the B2C. Online, I love the online sales. You can actually see your money go straight into the bank. I love that, going right to our website. But we will obviously work with our Amazon site, which it will need to be upgraded for this new shipment that's coming in. We are going to work with Amazon sales. But then there will also be cause fundraising campaigns. Now, why is that in there? You're not necessarily going to do a lot of sales doing it with, let's say there's a school or there are a set of nutritionists who want to have a fundraising campaign for their thing. You're not necessarily going to make a lot of profit on that, but guess what? They're selling the VeggiDomes. They're going into homes. If they're like for the school, they're saying, listen, we're selling these to be able to raise money for our school. And by the way, once it's in your home is going to have a healthier lifestyle. You folks are going to have building their immunity with more vegetables. It's a win-win on them. And guess what? We've got another product placed in another kitchen. People walk by and go, what's that? And it just starts to go word of mouth. So a part of our marketing was actually part of our sales campaign also, is to get them into homes with, and we're the good guys.
As well is, hello, Amazon Ventures, if you're listening, if this catches your attention, think of Whole Foods a second, guys. Yeah. Think of Whole Foods. When you walk through the produce section, what if there's just an end cap or a a stack of these where people can see they're buying their fresh fruits and vegetables, and then they pick up a VeggiDome so they can have it fresh on their counters longer instead of turning into a soupy mess in their refrigerators. I love that.
Actually, and the Whole Foods market can even put, let's say, a live herb in there, let's say rosemary or basil, that fades out really fast. And they notice that in the VeggiDome, it's as good as it'll ever be because it's still growing in the VeggiDome. It's like in the garden. Last line on the B2C is the QVC and home shopping networks. We already have connections, direct connections with people that are put us on the camera there. And so I'm looking forward to that. And the bottom part, relationships and partnerships, I'm not going to do more than just show that nice, colorful area there for you, but I'm going to talk about it as we wrap up. Senior management team, that's me. I really have been involved with this for 15 years, as I said, and now Philip Nardell was actually helping me in starting with, he started the books. He's really great in terms of his financial knowledge and multiple years of executive management. Trevor Anderson, who is a force to be reckoned with. He's really smart. He's proactive on everything. He's great. Really great to have on the team. And then Pat Fiore, who really is a gem in that she is focused on category creators. And guess what? We are creating an entirely new category, even for the housewares market, the outside the fridge produce display. It's not like that. And well, that's kind of one thing to mention outside the fridge produce display. When you walk in your kitchen, the VeggiDome owns the space because your eye goes right to the colors of the food and everything. So advisors is a long list, and I apologize for that. But guess what? I could do 3 or 4 pages of it. Why? Because almost everyone of power, of intellect, of business that I've been talking to about the VeggiDome is immediately saying, that's a good idea. I want one of those. And what can I do? Well, we've got John Sally, 4-time NBA champion, who, as an advisor, he's just an incredible force. He's a vegan chef, by the way. So he's got a huge sector that he has literally specific contact with. Izzy, who who's been great as my capital procurement advisor. David Katz he has a social media following of 1 million people, a nutritionist who already owns 2 VeggiDomes and wants to bring it into his methodology. Joseph Tafoya, another sports player. There are a lot of NFL players and NBA champions. Somehow I've got to figure out how to get all these sports figures and not have them be stepping on each other in terms of publicity. But they're interested because why? It's a positive product. This brings something to your home that is healthy, looks nice, and it's kind of a fun new thing. Our financial summary, I'm just going to go over this quickly in that we're going to be spending a bit of money to make the molds and the product. A lion's share of the investment of the capital is going straight to inventory creation. We're going to put them on the shelves. It's a simple product. We're going to start off a little bit slowly on the first year of sales because we're going to be getting them positioned. But then that's when I showed you that the partnerships slide there. These folks, Forks Over Knives is huge. Plant Pure Nation. And a lot of different companies will be able to carry us and fulfill the partnership that we've been discussing with them. So I'm going to go past that. The funding, we're looking for $750,000, which, let me tell you, is very little if you're trying to figure we are making a fad take place. When I'm talking to my marketing people, we're not talking necessarily only about how we're going to sell these in the market in the US and in Europe. We're going to study how did the Frisbee get to be a fad? How did the pet rock? How did the different, I've got a whole list here of different ones, the Frisbee, the pet rock, of various things like that. You study how that happens. Guess why? Because this can be the next kind of gift for the kitchen, the new thing that's in the kitchen. So if you want to be able to think about the VeggiDome, you'll be walking into the room. This will be looking back at you. What are you going to eat? You're probably going to eat some fruit or vegetables, but we're going to be able to mass produce them and make it into many different kitchens. And with the utility patent, people ask, okay, well, what if somebody copies it? And let's say if they make 100,000 units and sell it. Yes. You know why? It validates the concept that this is something you need in your kitchen. We're going to be walking into kitchens and seeing it. We're going to be buying them for your mom, for house gifts, for friends, for wedding gifts. This is the type of thing that you should pick up. You know, maybe it's going to be $40, maybe it's $29.99 eventually. But guess what? We also have connections with people in Italy. Can you imagine Italian glass VeggiDomes? Those are the $200 versions. So we're not worried about this very simple, malleable product that we own the utility patent for, okay? Going into different homes with different versions and different colors. Now, obviously, as a company, in the beginning, we're focusing on our flagship. We also have, and think about this, the VeggiDome, grab and go healthy food. Ding, that's our entire line of product. Grab and go healthy food.
Love your vigor, love the intensity.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Thank you.
Great job, Duncan. Give him a round of applause. Awesome job. I love the VeggiDome. I own it. I've gifted it. You know that as well.
The next big thing in the kitchen.
Absolutely. I love that. Great job, Duncan.